Now I'd like to bring in the president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, Mike Solan, to weigh in on what we're seeing in Kenosha, Portland, and other places. Mike, first, let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy who's in the middle of what's going on in Kenosha. What do you know? What do you think? What do you hear?
Well, number one, I'm concerned about the police officers and the community in general that are obviously being held hostage by just complete lawlessness. My thoughts and prayers are with the loss of life, and I hope that we can find a way out of this. But as you see, I think that policing as a profession is being used to divide our nation for political purposes. And it's clearly to me that this is all about the November election. I'd be curious to see, once the November election is done, how these protests/riots play out in terms of bringing our society back together and actually having a media presence that actually doesn't use video clips or viral videos to divide us for political purposes.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about, and again, this thing is still under investigation. Kyle Rittenhouse allegedly came to Kenosha to provide order to help police, I guess is his original motive. He says it was self-defense, others say it wasn't. Do cops want help from outside militia?
Yeah, well, typically, what we're seeing is that violence will escalate. And as people try to instill their bully tactics to intimidate and harass people, we're going to see this crime spike impact more cities. And I said this earlier, that this crime wave, this lawlessness will metastasize. And when you have people that take the law into their own hands because police officers are not being allowed to do their jobs to protect the public, this is what unfolds. And we're going to see more loss of life. We're going to receive more unreasonable activism. In fact, you're going to see more domestic terrorists take the opportunity because the police aren't around. I mean, this is a culmination of police being used as pawns in the political struggle for control. And sadly, what we're seeing is lawlessness and more crimes break out and loss of life.
Mike, this came out this week. In Chicago, there are 36 gangs, not people, 36 gangs who have said they've written, signed a petition, a letter, joining arms, locking arms against the cops. And we know this because the FBI told the city of Chicago this is happening. There's 36 gangs that have said if they see a cop with a weapon drawn, they're to shoot and kill that cop. Your thoughts?
Well, it's atrocious behavior. It's mob mentality to intimidate and besmirch the good people that do the job of policing. And this is now visiting police officers' doorsteps that's impacted my family and their security, where I had a mob come to my house to try to intimidate me, and one of them tried to breach my gate to get to my front door. And so understand that I believe that there's a reasonable community, there's a reasonable amount of people in our society across the nation and here in Seattle that actually support their police officers. And clearly, police officers will never be intimidated or bullied in a manner to stop doing what we love to do, and that's serve one another, serve our fellow human being. And we're ready here to defend ourselves, and so is our nation. And I call on our elected officials to publicly denounce this type of criminal activity and these threats from obviously the people that want to clearly divide us more than unite us. And if they were actually stronger in their leadership, actually standing up for their constituency, then I think we would see a significant drop in this chaos and lawlessness that's plaguing our city.
Mike,
police officers are great human beings.
Mike, as a representative of police officers, what does it say to you? What do you think of Joe Biden now deciding that he is the law enforcement candidate on the ticket?
Well, clearly law enforcement is not in the purview of our elected officials as far as their support is concerned, because what we're seeing is a breakdown in support of law enforcement for political purposes. That's why I said that the role of policing, that great historic profession as it is, that encompasses outstanding human beings that are willing to give their oath of service, their life to complete strangers, is now being utilized for political reasons to divide us more than unite us. That's a sad state of affairs that we're in, and I'm confident that this nation will stand up and support its police in November. And I hope that there is no more loss of life or property destruction, because clearly police are being used as political pawns in this struggle for control. Enough is enough of political pandering And it's about time that the real stories get out as far as police are great people.
All right, very quickly, I only have 20 seconds or so. Is Joe Biden politically pandering to police or to get votes?
I believe the majority of the politicians that aren't supporting the police officers that are condemning these acts of violence are indeed politically pandering. And it's about time our political officials and the public recognize this, and the true leaders, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, need to stand up and condemn these acts of violence for everybody's safety. Enough is enough of this nonsense, and stop using police to divide us.
Mike Solan, the president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild. Thank you again, Mike.
Eric, my pleasure, sir.